to resume the recording. Perfect. So we will be uploading the breakout presentation materials and recording this breakout, which will be available for attendees to access after the conference. After the breakout, please click on the button Rate Session to complete a brief survey. And this survey will help us improve, for the future. So that is all. Keep yourself muted. Please feel free to engage. Don't be shy. Put in your questions in the Q&A in chat. And with that said, I'll introduce our great, wonderful speakers that I'm also looking forward to hear from. And we have Melissa. Oh, I'm admitting someone now. And so we have our great speakers. We have Melissa Baskin, Cathy Himlin, and Rachel Reyna. And so now I'll turn it over to Melissa, I believe, to start. So again, thank you, everyone. Please put in your questions and chat in the WOVA application or web application.
Thank you, Manny, for the great introduction. Good morning, everybody. Like Manny said, my name is Melissa Baskin. I am a middle school counselor in Poway Unified School District. And joining us is our awesome intern, Rachel Reyna, who's at Point Loma Nazarene University. And she will be we're both very excited. She will be starting us off with a great breathing exercise to get us into that mode of self-care, recharging our battery. And I hope that after this exercise, you feel calm. I know it's a very hectic time right now, depending on the grade level that you're working in. You may be back if you're in elementary. You may have some students back if you're in the secondary schools. I know for Poway Unified, I believe all of our schools are open at some extent. And so this is a great time to think about taking care of ourselves as we begin that transition to in-person learning. So Rachel, do you want to start us off?
Yes, let me head to the slide. So we've got our breathing exercise, as Melissa mentioned, to start us off this morning. And it's a really good way just to signal to your body that it's time to relax. I'm sure all of you have tried some sort of deep breathing technique before, and it really just tells your entire system to slow down. And I think that's really important for all of us right now, just whether you're dealing with crazy things at work, maybe your morning was crazy, maybe these times during COVID have been nuts for you. It's a really good time just to take a moment to center yourself and focus on something that's really good for you, your health, and your wellness. So this is a breathing technique called square breathing. It's really simple. It's got a great visual that we can all follow together. Basically, all we're going to do is follow the little circle around the square and inhale and exhale when it says to do so. We're going to go ahead and take 5 of these breaths. So if you're able to, please join us right now. We'll go ahead and start the breathing exercise on the inhale. So we'll wait until that little circle gets to the corner. We'll go ahead and inhale all the way until it reaches the corner. Hold it in. And then we'll exhale. As that circle reaches the corner, hold the exhale. We're going to inhale again, all the way to the corner and hold it in. And we'll exhale all the way out and hold it out. Let's repeat again. Inhale and hold it in. I have to remember to breathe too. Exhale and hold it out. We'll do this 2 more times. Inhale at the corner. Hold it in. And exhale all the way out and hold it out. One last time, let's inhale. Hold it in. And exhale. Hold it out. Awesome. So you can do this as many times as you'd like. This is a really great visual that is easy to find on the internet. If you ever need something similar to this or the same one, you can always come back to it if you need just some visual to kind of guide you through that deep breathing. So, yeah. Whoops. Is Melissa muted?
Yeah,
There we
yes, thank you, Rachel. That was great. I love that visual. It's so easy and it's just so calming and relaxing. I love doing that in the mornings.
Me too.
Okay, so I know as counselors and those that work with students, we always hear the term self-care, practice self-care. We tell our students to practice self-care, take care of themselves. And I think I just want this space to be a time where we look inward and really think about how we are taking care of ourselves. It's a busy time. We have, in a couple of weeks, we'll have a 2-week break, hopefully, and we get to relax and spend time with those that we care about. But with the pandemic and things just being so different this year, I think it's even more pertinent that we really take a look at all areas of ourselves and feed all of those so that we can feel recharged and ready to come back after the break and help our students, help our staff. As counselors, we're oftentimes seen as the backbone of schools. We help, we're there, we're healers, we help. And, um, as people who are in that role, it's harder to fulfill those needs of our staff and our students when we're not taking care of ourselves. So this is just a visual that will remind us to take care of all aspects of who we are. So mental health, working with a counselor or a therapist, I'm a strong advocate for mental health, and I work with somebody on a weekly basis that just helps me kind of come down and someone who's unbiased, someone that doesn't see me in the workplace or in my home life, who can just focus on me and whatever I'm dealing with that week. So if you aren't already working with somebody, I really strongly recommend that. Physical health, I know gyms and a lot of different fitness centers are closed and during this time. And so I know that's hard, but and I know all of you know this, but walking around, doing exercises at home, there's tons of great stuff on YouTube. And then of course, a balanced diet, things that we oftentimes know. We know these things, but we sometimes don't practice them ourselves. And rest and sleep is very important. Of course, it's how we recharge. That's, at least 5 hours of sleep a night. I know it can be hard depending on, who's in your home and our relationships. Just carving out that time, however you plan out your day, whether you use Outlook or a physical planner or your phone to schedule your time, just scheduling an actual time where you're FaceTiming a friend or Zooming with a family member that lives across the country. Actually planning that into your day is what I've found personally, and my coworkers that I've talked to about this, the most helpful, because it's not like we can go out and hang out with friends right now as often as maybe we're used to pre-COVID. And so that is so important, keeping our relationships. And then of course, just something very simple as water, just drinking that, throughout the day. You'll see that your mind is clearer. Sometimes when I have a headache or my body hurts, and I've realized, oh, I haven't been drinking as much water. So just a reminder to all of us to take care of, you, and that way we can take care of our students and our coworkers as well. Okay, so I wanted to touch on the school counselor role and how it's shifted a bit with COVID. I know with Rachel, she is our intern, and so she's had experience interning at a comprehensive high school in person, and now she's been interning with us this fall. And so she's been able to see the difference between being in person and COVID. And I think one of the things that I've definitely noticed in my role is that it's shifted a little bit. Typically, you know, we're used to providing tier 1, 2, and 3 interventions in all domains and throughout the school year in various ways. And right now, some of that focus has shifted towards attendance and engagement, making sure that kids are attending. I remember at the very beginning of the school year, my role was just to sit in my office and call students and families all day, basically. Just if they were not attending, that's what we were doing. That, of course, has shifted a little bit now. That in my particular school site, when we're bringing students on campus, but that is I mean, I would say the counselors I've spoken with, that is our biggest role right now. And so I know it can be hard when we've went into this role thinking this is what we're going to be doing. We're going to be helping students. We're going to be working with them, having them in our office. And now it's more of calling families and, you know, more adult interactions as opposed to when we were in person. So just keeping in mind that it's temporary and this isn't, you know, a forever thing. It won't always be this way, because I know it can be hard to feel that passion for our role when it's so different than what we're used to. And of course, when we return to on campus, being prepared to kind of handle the situation as like we do when we're in crisis. Of course, it won't be maybe as chaotic because we'll be expecting it, but we will need to be prepared to support students and staff as well in those ways, because we've all been through this collective, you know, trauma in a way. You know, for many students, this was great. They love being at home, but for many, you know, it's been very difficult being at home. So just making sure that we can be prepared to support students and staff in that way when we return. So of course, that kind of brings back, like, the more we take care of ourselves, the better prepared we'll be, and leading students into that transition from being at home to school. And even when we return to school, it will be very different. It won't be the same. You know, we won't be at full capacity. And so some students may realize, you know, I want to be home. This isn't what I wanted. This isn't what I like anymore. And so I'm going to prefer to be at home. And so the families may be at odds with parents or guardians and the students. So how do we help kind of remedy that when, you know, our hope is that students can return on campus and feel safe? So just a little bit of our note and how it's shifted a little bit, but knowing that it won't always be this way. And that's the fun part about being a school counselor. We never know what's going to come through our door. And so this is a very, you know, interesting time to be a school counselor in our role. And so just wanted to talk about that a little bit. And of course, our main role is to advocate for students. You know, what I always think about when we're making decisions, you know, oftentimes we are part of those decision-making teams, whether it's the reopening task force or whatever you call it at your site. We are there, and our students need us on those teams and in those meetings to advocate for them. So I always bring it back to what is best for students. Yes, it may take me doing something that I'm not used to, or maybe something that I don't really particularly am fond of doing. But if this is best for students, it's kind of, you know, like, okay, well, let's see how we can make it work for the teachers, ourselves, so that we can bring students back on campus, or you know, just any decision that we're making as a team that has to do with students is I always bring it back to what is best for them. Modeling leadership for students and staff. Right now, it can be very easy to, I know we all work with different staff members, and it can be very easy to just kind of look out for ourselves. But I think if we model that leadership for students and staff, that will be in some ways what helps us out through all of this. As counselors, that is our role. And so bringing that into the unity piece, we are uniting all of the people that maybe having a hard time feeling like, well, I don't want to go to work, or I have a family member that is their immune system is compromised, and they can't stay home. So of course I don't know what every school district you're all from, or what your roles are, but I think just being able to find commonality amongst each other, and really rely on our community, and really see our school as a community, and going through all of this together and supporting each other. I think that's really what's going to be most helpful for students. And that's essentially why I became a school counselor, is so that I can advocate for students first and foremost. So one of the things that I've found very, very helpful in times of just stress, sometimes I know we sit in so many meetings where we hear one thing, or there's another thing, and then so for us it's kind of been like November 30th was the day we were going to come back. I think our school district is K-12, and there's a lot of pressure to return to on campus, and so we were prepared to come back on campus. November 30th was the day, and then leading up to the Thanksgiving break, it was like, nope, we're not going to come back that day. We're going to come back, back in January. And so things are always changing. And as somebody myself who loves to plan ahead and kind of know what's coming, it's been very hard to be in meetings where we hear one thing, and then later on the school board has a meeting and it's completely different from what I heard. And so I love this calming strategy where I'll do, seeing, what are some 5 things that I see, and if I'm by myself, I say them out loud. What are 4 things that I feel, texture wise, 3 things I hear, 2 things I smell, and 1 thing I taste. If you're, depending on where you live, you may want to go out and do this in nature. This is very helpful. Doing this in nature, it can be very calming and just recharging. And so I love this calming strategy. And this is something that you can also, if you don't already do it with your students, something that you can teach your students also. So I know that as a staff, we've had meetings where we go through different calming strategies. So you can use this really whenever, with students, with staff. If you have a staff meeting, starting this off with this calming strategy, or the breathing exercise that Rachel let us in this morning. Just other, these are just some skills that you can use with your staff as well.
Yes, and another one that's really great as well to share with students and staff, and also one that we can practice, is seated stretching. So standing up and getting our bodies moving sometimes isn't ideal, or isn't something that we can do wherever we are. Or sometimes if you're just sitting at your desk and you need a minute to stretch out your body and get your blood moving a little bit more, these are really great poses to do. Some of them I didn't even realize you could do in a chair, but they're really nice just to kind of get your body moving a little bit, work out those kinks that you have from sitting for so long, and taking a break, just giving yourself, again, like Melissa has been mentioning, like that self-care piece, and really taking a minute to focus on you and making sure that you're present in the day and in your work, and so that you can best serve the people around you. So we can try a couple of these if you have a moment, or if you have some space around you. I'm going to do a modified version of a couple of them. So let me back up a minute. We can do stretch number 1. So really that's just leaning forward and touching your toes, or you can even touch your knees just to kind of round out your spine a little bit. Sometimes we're sitting up so straight or kind of slouched in that chair. It's good to lean into that stretch and really get a nice elongated spine. That feels really nice. And then we can stretch up and kind of push your shoulders down so that you get the opposite effect where your spine is nice and straight. And you can kind of even hear some of those cracks in your back that you might have. You can turn in your chair, so you can turn to the right, get a nice little stretch that way, turn to the left, do the other way. Oh, yeah, lower back feels amazing. All right, and then we'll go ahead and try number 4 as well. You can bring up one of your knees if you're able to. You don't have to bring it up all the way on your chair like that little guy, but as far as you can, just kind of stretch out those legs and switch just to get that blood moving in your legs as well. Sometimes I don't even realize during the day how much weight is on my legs just from sitting. Your whole body weight is kind of pushing down on your legs. Your thighs are a heavier part of your legs, so they're kind of pushing down on your veins and everything. So it's good to just kind of get things moving. You can stretch out your legs forward if you feel as well. So just even those stretches, I feel a lot better. My body feels looser. I hadn't had a chance to stretch this morning yet, so that felt really good. I think just remembering to take care of our bodies while we're working throughout the day is very important because we kind of neglect it sometimes. Um, Even just moving around, having water, as Melissa mentioned, grabbing a snack, making sure you're taking the time to have a meal at lunchtime, things like that can really help recharge your battery and make you feel ready to take on the next task for the day.
Hi, thank you. Now it's my turn. All right. I love a live group. I know you're live out there, but it's so hard for me. I'm more of a so to be in this little tube, like I was saying at the beginning, is hard. So forgive me. I'm going to try to be animated, but it's hard because we're looking at a little camera. I'd love to see all your faces. All right. I'm Cathy Himlin. I'm with Family Connections Therapy in Rancho Nardo, and I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist and licensed professional clinical counselor. Our group especially loves helping children or anybody reconnect in their relationships. We have a great team of therapists that do that, and we love helping people live happier, healthier lives. We're sort of around or in the middle of the Poway School District area. So today I'm going to discuss various ways for you to support your children you work with and their families. I know it's hard out there as a school counselor, and it can be overwhelming working with families right now. Our plan together is to discover ways your family can cope in this new world we're living in. So I'm going to talk about working from home.
Hello, Cathy, you're breaking up a bit.
Oh, really?
Well, no, you're not.
Okay.
I was gonna say maybe I don't know if it was the video, but you were breaking up a bit, but now you're good.
Oh, well. Okay. Okay. Next slide, please. Okay. We're going to work from home. Do you want to repeat what I said? It was just an introduction, but it's up to you.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I'll just
Okay.
I'll just kind of chime in if it gets to the point where I don't think others could hear at all.
Okay. Okay. Hopefully our internet is good with all this wind. All right.
No,
Okay. As school counselors, huh?
no,
Sorry.
that's good. Sorry.
That's okay. All right. Some ways that we can work from home to decrease the stress of parents working with their children, coexisting with them during school hours. I'm going to go over just a couple of things that we help our parents with. Breaking up caretaking into shifts and allowing the other parent to be isolated to conduct work more efficiently without interruptions is one way. It's when you have a child coming into your room, your office, not your door, or trying to get your attention. If you could have one parent that helps rein in and child, the other one's isolated and then turns, and that can trade on a win for everyone. They get attention and you get to be more productive. So that's a really cool thing we help our parents with. Another one is using the magical calm work moment. There's really something about getting up earlier than everyone else in the house. Besides, that's when you're the most rested, your brain is fresher. Or if you're more of a night owl, be sure to get your kiddos to bed on a good sleep schedule and catch the calm time of nighttime. And you could probably gain 2 to 3 hours of uninterrupted time working on either end of the time continuum of the day. Another thought would be to shift some of your work outside. If you go out to a park, if they're open, backyard or something, so your kiddos can ride or the children can ride their bikes, scooters, run around, whatever they need to do, walk a dog. It'll help them with energy and it'll give you some peace and it'll also expose some sun and fresh air, which is for both you and your kids. And then another way to support parents is to suggest mini sprints. So sometimes we have a hard time focusing when there's kiddos running around. Can I have water? Can I have a snack? I'm bored. I don't know how to get on the internet and all the different types of interruptions we go through as parents with kids at home. So if they want to be super productive, learning to work in mini sprints of 20 to 40 minutes will help. If you have another partner or somebody else that can watch the children for just a brief period of time, focusing on one task for a brief period will help you get more done in less time. You could actually maybe even be more productive than you were when you were at your office doing it that way. Okay. And this card, please. I love cards. I'm old school, like the Dewey what is that system that we used to use in our college? I'm old. Anyways, okay. So I'm going to talk about structure, which you all probably understand structure. School is structured. Your school counselors, most of you or a lot of you, but I'm going to talk to it just a little bit about home. And you probably know all this. Children love structure. Parents can be reminded that their children want to know when they are available to them. It's really hard to be in the same home and not know when it's okay and when it's not okay to go and nag your parent for something or talk to your parent about something. So sometimes if we can help them do things on their own, it helps. Instance, if you could leave or if they could leave healthy snacks they can access and understand that these are okay to snack on, but if they want to make a fruit salad and they need to use a knife, that's when they have to go get their parents. So just talking like that, little simple routines that we take in as adults. Again, predictable routines tend to lower anxiety in children because we need to control what we can do to help children cope. And in these unpredictable times, trying to establish routine includes meals, bedtimes, exercise breaks, all those things, especially carving out time with your children or with the children. So remind parents that part of the reason why children are acting out at home is they see their parent, but they're not having access. So if they set aside time, they're special with their children, then they won't be as cranky, naggy, acting out, doing the negative behaviors that a lot of our parents are complaining about right now, especially during stay-at-home orders. And you can be spontaneous. Sure, you want to let them allow their creativity, like during a scheduled play activity, craft your meal, just say, hey, we're going to do a craft, or do you want to do like a fun meal? And you choose, and what do you want to make, and give them some choices. But let them make decisions so they can feel like they're in control of their environment a little bit more. They love choices. It really encourage, take a few minutes a day to set up maybe 2 to 3 choices on their schedule for a break time the next day. Like one choice could be walking a dog or going out and playing tag with mom or dad. Those little things like that really make a big difference that we see when we're working with kiddos. Strengthening the bond. I just listed some activities on the next slide. I'll call it a slide that we use when we're talking to parents. I have some lists on there you can look at. I'm not going to go down the list, but you can see scavenger hunts fluffy slime recipe, the videos with the kids bathing dogs and obstacle courses are all fun for parents to do, just ideas that they can do. Okay, down to feelings. Have the next slide. Normalizing typical feelings. It's normal to feel a wide range of emotions right now and for different feelings to ebb and flow. But children need to have a safe space to process their emotions. An example of helping children with COVID is the power in shared experiences. Parents and counselors can share their experiences, similar historic and life-changing events, with a positive spin to demonstrate resilience and adaptation. For instance, 9/11 changed how airlines operated. We can no longer go to the gate with our relatives, and we can't bring on whatever we want onto a plane. The children have grown up with these regulations and don't know the difference. But these changes keep us safer when we fly and protect pilots and flight attendants and all of us in the cabin of a plane. As compared to COVID, vaccines and therapeutics are being developed. So just like chickenpox, measles, polio, rubella, etc., we will be immune and allowed to live a normal life again. So giving them some hope, drawing on the past, will actually help them cope with what's going forward. And like Melissa was saying, I think it was Melissa, that some kids are just going to love it and don't want to go back to school, and that's going to be a whole nother problem we're going to have. But there's some kids really going stir crazy, and of course some, that's an understatement, there's a lot of kids going stir crazy and it doesn't feel right, you know. So it's good to give them some example that there should be a light at the end of the tunnel somewhere. Okay, so supporting parents through anxiety, depression, and isolation. We can also support parents who have children experiencing symptoms of anxiety, depression, and isolation. And some of these examples are talking to children. As simple as that sounds, nurturing interactions help to ground children and make them feel safe. Parents can create several times a day to reach out to them and make sure their feelings are being heard, validated, and understood. That goes a long ways. In fact, if I could teach every single parent that comes into our group practice to do this one little thing, it actually cuts out behavior problems more than any other intervention. There's always other reasons for behavior problems with a child or acting out, but this is one of the biggest interventions a parent can do, one of the simplest. And just listen. Give children a chance to express their fears and respond with an age-appropriate answer. Reassure them that they will be okay as long as their parents are there. Shield them from the news. This is super important. Kids need to be away from the TV, newspaper, magazines, images of scary or stressful events. Exposure to negative input makes symptoms worse. We're working with a family, a very young child, early elementary, that is quoted not quite accurately the details of the election and who they are for or against, and criticizing various politicians with words that you wouldn't expect a 7 or 8-year-old to use. They really shouldn't be around that. There's a lot of negativity in politics. I don't need to say much more about that right now. And kids don't need to see that. So if people can just shield them from that, that would be great. Not to mention fire dangers, COVID, deaths, all those negative things. Kids really don't need to see that. It doesn't help them, and their brains are too immature to really be able to process it. It tends to cause anxiety and depression in them when they get exposed to too much heavy material that us adults like to watch on the news. And again, children love routine and structure, of course. As I mentioned earlier, children want to know when their parents are available. They need to know when to ask parents for help. It's another way to decrease their stress. Setting up a Zoom, FaceTime meetings with grandparents, cousins, or friends can also be helpful with isolation. I know a lot of this has been thrown over the internet. Having grandparents just read a story to young kids, you know, or spend like 15 minutes to a half hour with them, letting them do crafts or something on the other end. That would be a really cool, I don't know, a way to have a respite for the parents too. And then discussing a safety plan. Some children worry about the bad things that can happen to them and think a lot about it, and that's what causes depression and anxiety too. For instance, parents could read the Covey book, I think that's how they put it, to their children. I know this is geared towards younger children, like somewhere around 7 or younger, but it still has some good stuff in there. And it's reassuring to children to see things in cartoon form to address their fears. So now that we've talked about feelings and things that are going on with kiddos and behaviors, I'm going to talk about some activities we can do to address them. This one is the locus of control activity, and it helps children focus on the things they have control over to help them address their depression or anxiety. Our worries and fears center around the unknown and things we can't control, and it leaves us feeling anxious and vulnerable. Having a sense of control or agency over things in our lives, we can minimize these feelings. So some students come to their school counselors with some very real worries from home. Help your students understand what they can and cannot control and focus on the things they actively can do to help themselves. So to help them understand that, we use a rock. I'm going to hold up the camera and some Play-Doh. So the rock represents things we cannot control. The Play-Doh represents things we can. What happens when we squeeze a rock? Nothing. I can't do anything to this thing. I can't change this rock. But what happens when we squeeze the Play-Doh? Oh, wow. We can shape it. We can mold it. It moves when we squeeze it. It's the same for worries. When we worry about things outside of our control, we can't change them. When we instead focus on things we can control, we can make positive changes to help ourselves feel better. For example, like with the weather. If it's raining, we can put on a raincoat or put an umbrella on, but we can't control it raining. So it's really important to show kids that. And like regarding COVID, we can't control the virus right now, but we can take health precautions. Health precautions, I can say that, like wearing masks, washing our hands, keeping a physical distance. And that really helps children feel like they have a sense of control in a situation where none of us do right now. But we do have certain things we can do to prevent spreading a virus, for instance, or getting wet under the rain that's falling. Okay, then next we're going to do a bunch of other activities I'm going to demonstrate. And I think this is the worry dolls. That's the list, and we're going to go to the worry doll. And I know Melissa has an example of it, but let me go through this first. I hope you do. Do you have one? Yeah, okay. So the first thing we do, and I put the pictures, if you can go to the next slide. I put pictures of the contents because there is no worry dolls online. So this is a pipe cleaner. Maybe if you could see this, a pipe cleaner. And we use a pom-pom. We start with that. And the first thing we do is we take a third of the pipe cleaner. I'm just going to do this in front of you today so you can see it. And we cut it. And then we take the rest of the pipe cleaner and we put the pom-pom in the middle. And we twist a little bit. And then you have the legs. So that's really cool. It's really easy. And then you put the second part of the pipe cleaner, which is the third small part, and you twist that around the legs and the neck. Ah, no one said I was artistic. Okay, so that's the worry doll. And then you can take beads like I have in this bag, and you can see on your screen. And I'll just put on a few. I promise I won't make one totally right now. So you can just thread a bead on here, or 2 or 3, and then fold the little pipe cleaner down to make a hand. You could do the same for the legs. You can also take a Sharpie and put a face on. And I'll show. Beads stick to your hands when you're trying to put them back. They're like, blah! Okay, here's the final product for me. So what we have is we have a worry doll that has a face. It has, again, the pom-pom, the beads. My daughter made this, Christmas colors. And this is a thing that you can do for worrying or stressing. You can de-stress by just touching these beads and twirling them. They're hard and they're against your, I don't know, you're grabbing them, whatever. It's almost like a fidget. It's like a fidget worry doll. And then on the top is like a soft area that you can touch. Or even better for me, we could put like essential oils. I like the lavender and peppermint, and put a drop on there. Oh, wow. And that's calming. So that's the worry doll. That helps. And it's small enough that a kiddo can put it in their pocket if they have test anxiety, if they just get anxious at school, and they can just not even show it to anyone and just feel it in their pocket and know it's there and know it's something that's like stable for them, that's always there. Did you have one you wanted to show? No. And there's
Yes.
Melissa's.
I remember Cathy and her group did a presentation to the Poway counselors, and I remember made it, and I love it. I keep it near my desk, and I've also gotten supplies and made them with students in groups, like a girls group, and also just individually when I have a student who is anxious. So I love my little worry doll.
They're very helpful. Okay, we're going to talk about balloons. So I tried to find a fun picture, but you've got a picture 50 to 70, or I don't know how many of you that were there, Melissa, at the Poway presentation, and they all had a balloon. And part of this is blowing it up, and the other part is keeping the balloon off the floor. So I'm going to blow this up in front of you because it's actually a breathing exercise, unless you just wanted to come and see someone blow up a balloon. It won't take me long. So taking in a deep breath, I like to capitalize on all these things. I'm taking a deep breath. I got to do that. It's hard to do that and talk. Okay. Taking a deep breath and blow out. That's one breath. It probably takes two for me. Take in another one. And did you know that actually taking 2 or 3 deep breaths and that's it, and really slowly doing that is enough to almost reset your nervous system a little bit? Anyway, so I have a balloon. I promise I am not going to jump around chasing this balloon around my room. But I wish we had a video. We had so many people. What you want to do for kiddos or for people, you want to have more than one balloon though. And I'll put this down. You want to have enough to where it's hard to keep them off the floor. And you want to play the game of keeping them off the floor. Your focus, you need to focus only on that balloon. It can't touch the floor. And you just keep running around and keeping balloons up in the air. Probably 4 or 5 for one person would be good. But when you have a group of 30, 40, 50, 60 people that each have a balloon, that's like the best. So they all were responsible for keeping balloons off the floor. At the end of the exercise, it was not only exciting, but it was like playing a game. And so it really got people's energy up in a positive way, and they got their worries. And if you feel worried still after doing that, then get more balloons. Because if you're focused on that balloon, you don't have time. Your brain shifts completely into that activity, and there is no worries in that moment. So it's a nice de-stressing thing. That's fun to do. The next one is the coping skills thumb ball. And so the coping skills thumb ball is simply a ball. And I don't know if we're going to be able to see this. And I have different words, like that's game, I believe. I don't know if it's coming in opposite, like mirror image, bike, breathe, putty, run, draw. Oh, I think that's it. Oh, here's one. Call a friend. So what we do, and oh, I hope I don't do what I did when I tried this at home, is we toss this up in the air and we catch it. Okay, so I'm going to do that. And if the ball comes at the camera, I'm so sorry. Okay. Okay, where did my thumb land? So thumb ball, right? So we go where the thumb landed. Oh, it landed on a game. I don't feel like playing a game, but sometimes I do. So if I did, I would go and get a game. But now I don't so much feel like it. So I'm going to try it one more time. And I just throw it up in the air. It says to breathe. So I'm going to do some breathing exercises. Oh, what a coincidence. We're going to be doing some more breathing exercises together in a minute. So I'm going to do that too. So this is fun too, because that's another way that they're reminders, they're cues for the different types of things that you can do when you're stressed and calm down. You can just sit this down somewhere. Kids love this too. All right, what's next? I'm like looking at my, all right, here we go. There's some coping skills ideas that I just listed. Some of those are on my coping thumb ball, and some of them are on a coping box in it, or a coping box. Yes, in a coping skills box in a minute, if I can find it. That's right. All right. So there's a whole list. There's all kinds of stuff, some for adults, some for kids, maybe all for kids. Get them off of YouTube and movies and stuff. I'd rather see other things. For this was pre-COVID, we made this list, so that might not be the best because we're on the screens a lot, especially for Zoom and meetings. But there's a lot of really cool ideas there that actually help. The next thing we're going to talk about is my relaxation. I'm going to do two. When you're done with this presentation today from all of us, you're going to be so relaxed, you're going to want to go take a nap. I'll try to watch the time, and I may only do one of these, but I'm going to talk about happy thoughts. I wanted so bad to put Peter Pan and You Can Fly on video, but I think I need to get rights from Disney. So I didn't do it, but that's the song that I think of, because when you think of happy things, and you got little pixie dust, you can fly. It's the same thing for relaxing. When you think of a positive place or a positive experience in your past, or a place that brings you energy or calmness that you like to go to, like the mountains or the beach, then it really does help shift your feelings. So if you're in a place where you don't have any of these tools, you don't have your thumb ball, you don't have a worry doll for some reason, and you have nothing, you can still do things to relax. You can use your imagination. So can you imagine your favorite place to be? Now think about all the senses you're aware of. Can you smell anything? Can you see anything? Do you feel anything? Do you taste anything? Is it warm or is it cool? Are there any special sounds that bring you back there? What about foods or tastes that remind you? An example of this is just going to the beach, and we'll just say San Diego. I'll guide you through one of my favorites. As you sit and relax a little bit, I'll walk you through a progressive, or not a progressive, but a happy thought meditation. So I have a fond memory, it's my favorite, of being at the beach. We don't get to go to the beach as much anymore, so I do have to think about it more. So as you sit on the sand, you feel it give way as you settle down to sit. You take in a slow breath. It's hard for me to be quieter and slower right now. And notice the warmth you feel in that sand. You breathe in slowly, and you feel the sun on your skin and how comforting and warm that is. As you breathe again, you smell the salt air and how it reminds you of how peaceful that is to notice. Then you breathe again and you taste a little salt on your tongue from the wave creating a mist nearby. You breathe in again. You hear the sound of the waves moving up the beach, then back down. You breathe in, and you remember drinking your favorite cool, sparkling water. You breathe and remember the coolness of the drink of water and how good it feels to notice the warmth of the sun and coolness of your drink. Maybe this reminds you of a relaxing trip you took with your parents when you were little. As you breathe, you remember pictures, images of your parents playing with you in the sand and cuddling you after swimming, and how warm that felt and safe. And you breathe a little more, and you could take all the time you want on this, but the location you pick is personal. And I went pretty fast because we don't have a lot of time, but it needs to be a positive memory, whether it's people or just the nature you're experiencing. But what you notice, and if I could interact with some of you, it would be cool, but I won't because we can't. But what you will notice is that if you do this for 5 or 10 minutes, very short time, you'll actually be transported back in time to that place, or that place you created that you know is calm, but you have to have an emotional connection to that place. I pick Hawaii sometimes, Disneyland, and I have specific memories as a child that I anchor to. And that is what brings me back to that moment. And when you can go back to that moment, You're feeling it now. And if you're feeling it now, you're feeling better and you're feeling happy. And so it's really cool exercise. Do we have time for me to do progressive relaxation? I'll just describe it. I know we're getting towards the end. I was asking you, Manny, sorry.
Yes, we have time. We do have one
Okay.
question that came. We do have one question that came. And
Okay.
if there's other Q&A, please feel free to put it in the Wova app. So I could ask a
Okay.
question afterwards or now. It's up to you.
Okay. It's go ahead. That's fine. I just have a couple of more things.
Okay, perfect. I'll just ask it now then. In this question, for any of you, how do you block out all the additional stress factors? So,
Shall I answer it? How do you block it out? This is one way. You need to find a calm space and you need to have a place where you can focus on one thing. And either I picture blanking, literally blanking out a screen in my mind, pick a color, white, blue, purple, don't care. And then I focus on a thing like doing this happy thoughts exercise, or the next one I'm going to show you, which is progressive relaxation. Another way is doing things like going in a hot tub or a hot bath for like 20 or 30 minutes, things that you can do to reset your system. And I also heard of something, and I don't personally like it, of taking a bag of peas or cold ice water and sticking your face in it for as long as you can, stand it, and that helps just physically reset your system. Things like that might help because there is a lot. And another way is journaling and gratitude, and there's just doing a combination of these things tends to help. I'm going to keep going. Getting adrenaline and cortisol out by exercising, walking, brisk walk at the very least, anything you can do to get that energy out also helps a lot. It clears the mind. I hope that answers that. A lot of answers. It's like asking me if I have favorite ice cream flavor, and I don't. I'll tell you 10 of them. Okay. Were there any more?
No,
And I don't know if Melissa wanted to answer that.
yes, but you could continue. I was gonna say you could continue. We still have a good 4 more minutes.
Okay. I'm just going to touch on progressive relaxation because I really want to show you the coping skills box. Progressive relaxation is another very simple thing to do. I'm not going to walk you through it because it'll take another 5 minutes and we don't have that. So I want to at least talk about it. It's another one where you breathe in slowly and out. Do this for about 30 seconds or so. And then you're going to tighten your muscles from your head down to your toes, but we're going to isolate them. So I'm going to do the first one and you can see how it goes, and it's going to look really weird. So I'm going to take in a few deep breaths. Let's pretend like I did. And then I'm going to take in a breath and I'm going to tighten my muscles in my face. And then on the out breath, I'm going to try to relax them. And then I'm going to breathe 1 or 2 more times. We'll pretend I did. I'm going to do that again. And then breathe 1 or 2 more times. Go very slowly, not this fast. Then we're going to try shoulders. I can't see. You're going to scrunch your shoulders up on the in-breath. And then try to relax them. This is a really good one because we carry a lot of tension in our shoulders. And then we breathe, deep breathe, a couple of times, and then we do another set. Scrunching the shoulders up. And then breathe out. And then we work our way down. We isolate our muscles, breathing in and out really slow, like really slow breaths, like we were doing in the previous one. And for Melissa and Rachel's one, where you do your upper arms, you do your fists. When you're working with kids, we go stiff as a board, and that's our arms. That's what they do. They don't isolate their muscles so much usually at a young age, but we can pull our shoulder blades together and make that one set. Your chest muscles, if you know how to flex them, your tummy, abs, your buttocks if you want, and you can isolate your legs down to your toes. By the time you're done, it takes about 5 or 10 minutes. It should. You'll be so relaxed. That's another way to help you relax. That's a fun one. I'm going to skip through the mandala, but I'm going to show that I put a link to this bag of cards for mandalas. If you can It's a mindfulness exercise of like, just briefly take a pen. I have a Sharpie. Notice the pressure you're putting on the card as you're coloring between the lines. Notice your hand. Notice how your fingers grip the pencil. And you breathe while you're doing this and really focus on getting the colors and the lines the way you want them and doing it very slowly. This is a very, very, very calming exercise. We've got coloring books at my house that we use with pencils out. You can use pencils are better than pens. And then having a gratitude journal. I mean, I made these for our group. So it says, every day write down 3 things that went well, you felt proud of or thankful for, or otherwise were positive. And that's all this is dedicated for, is that. You can start your day with that, you can end your day with that, or do both. It really helps us, again, focus our emotional energy on the positive. And that's important that we do that. And here's what I want to get to because I don't want to miss this one. Okay, so this is the coping skills. Do you see what the supply looks like? It's actually a flattened box. Show it, I can see it. Okay, and what we do is we write things on the outside and put things on the inside, and I'll quickly go through that. I had someone demonstrate this for me. Take a nap, go to the beach off of our list, play with a pet. So they decorated the outside as, again, a cue to remind them, play a game. I can almost read in your images. This is good. Go for a walk, play with toys. And on the top, I had a nice happy image with hearts and a rainbow and really happy. On the inside, we have other things. We have things falling all over the place. I have some thinking putty that I can use. That's a coping thing if I need to have it. I put my worry doll in there too. And I have, of course, the balloon. I have a couple of pom-poms that I put essential oils on. I can show you. There we go. And I have a squishy that I didn't take out of the bag yet because it was going to stick to the paper today. But there's a little squishy. And that's it. And then you can have this. And this, again, is like the thumb ball. You put the thumb ball in here. This is a cue. If people are upset, they see this. Oh, yeah, I could read this. And maybe something on here will help me be less stressed. So I rushed through that one exercise. Sorry about that. All right. We learned a lot about how you can support your families and kids during this time. And it's just so important. All of us that work with kiddos are just needing to give parents extra support, give the kiddos extra support. And as Melissa said, if you can do the exercises to center you, it'll help you help them be more centered and grounded and happier through. Right now, it's just nuts, right? It's a crazy time right now. And even before that, kids have problems, families have problems. So when this all calms down, we're still going to have a lot of work to do to help our families and support them. That's it. Thanks.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Cathy, and thank you, Melissa, and Rachel, for engaging with everyone. And I know everyone was engaged because the participants list stayed the same throughout. So that means people were stayed and then stayed through. So thank you, everyone. Just before we close out, just 2 really quick housekeeping things. One is don't forget to rate the session. On the bottom, on the WOVA application, on the right-hand side, it said rate session. The slides that Cathy, Melissa, and Rachel were referencing, if you keep scrolling down in the WOVA application, you'll actually be able to download it. It says handouts, but you just got to keep scrolling down until their site's available. I put the chat in the chat. I put the link that Cathy referenced for the mindful mandala. I put that link in the chat so you could buy it yourself. And then it wouldn't be a conference without doing, if you all don't mind, I promise it won't take long, but if you could put your screens on for like 2 seconds, we're gonna do a screen grab. We're gonna do a screen grab with everyone. If anyone who doesn't mind, turning their camera on for 2 seconds, I know you may be in pajamas. We're gonna do just a quick screen grab. So I'll give everyone like 1 or maybe 5 seconds, if you don't mind putting your camera on and playing along with us. Thank you, everyone. Oh, this is great. Thank you. And we're going to do just quick picture. If you were sharing your screen, perfect, full gallery, and I'll just do a picture really quickly. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thank you. 1, 2, 3. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, everyone. And thank you again, Melissa, Rachel, and Cathy. Have a good day, everyone.